guys right here from Harlem made us dress different, talk different, walk different, rap different, all the way in Canada. So please, the pride of New York to me, make some motherfucking noise for the Dipset.
Drake had the same type of run, if not more phenomenal than Dre in this present era.
He did.
We've never seen nothing like that happen.
I think Drake has to be in the top 5.
If you're not putting Drake in the top 2 of all time, like what are we gonna do? We're gonna keep putting shade on his name?
Drake just threw his full support behind Jim Jones after Jim boldly claimed he's better than Nas. And the reason Drake jumped into this mess? Straight up petty vibes. Drake thought he and Nas were on good terms. But then Pusha T popped up and revealed that Nas is gonna be on the upcoming Clips album, and that was all it took to set Drake off. Instead of minding his own business, Drake decided to back Jim Jones and ride the drama wave. While almost everybody else backed away from Jim because of this wild Nas claim, Drake went all in and stood by Jim like they're best buds. Now Jim's out here wildin', yelling that Drake is the best rapper alive, better than Nas, Jay-Z, and every other legend out there. Can you believe that? And it doesn't stop there. Jim's also defending Drake's messy legal fight with UMG. Drake is suing his own label for letting Kendrick Lamar diss him on Not Like Us. The whole industry been clowning Drake for running to the courts after taking that L in the rap battle. But Jim is out here saying Drake is doing it for the culture. Like, seriously? So the big question is, are Drake and Jim just playing with us for clout? Or are they really convinced they're right and everyone else is tripping? Let's get into it. You probably already heard how Jim Jones got the whole rap game heated when he bragged that he's better than Nas. Even after all the backlash, Jim doubled down and claimed he helped Nas go viral again for the first time in years. But you already know real hip-hop heads weren't gonna let this slide. Fans went off, calling Jim's comments mad disrespectful. The comment sections were on fire. Most people couldn't even wrap their heads around the idea of comparing Nas to Jim Jones. Like, for real? Some folks just sat back and laughed, thinking it was straight-up comedy. It didn't matter that Jim been grinding for over 2 decades. The second he said he was on Nas's level, folks stopped caring about his legacy. You can't just compare yourself to a rapper that nobody ever questions. We're talking about the guy who dropped Illmatic at 20 and still gets Grammy nods 30 years later. That's legendary stuff right there. Ask any OG in the game. Reza even said Nas is a straight-up genius, calling him the Bobby Fischer of MCs. That's next-level respect.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
Yeah, that's my young boy.
big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my era too. I mean,
So to be compared-
Let me
that young kid out.
He was young, and we loved that he loved Jim Jones. I want you to break it down.
Let's break this down.
Let's not get into that where we get into numbers and I gotta show you the statistics of what I've done. You heard to what other people was done. You heard them. You wanna go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas' Billboard entries, then pull up my Billboard entries.
Listen, we can't compare the two. What I'm trying to tell you is
I wanna go there.
Hold on.
I wanna go down the line now, because now we going down the line. He's a rapper and I'm a rapper.
Listen,
let's go statistically.
It feels great.
No, but I want to go statistically because when people be like,
I feel the same way. We all feel the same way.
And forget about the numbers. There's nothing that there's never is me. Putting me up against anybody, I'm taking me every time. Every time.
Okay,
every
but
time in all categories.
Say something though, Jim.
In every category, I get busy.
But Jim wasn't backing down at all. Instead, he hyped up his new interview with Angie Martinez, and you can bet he's still not done talking about Nas. Like, bro, what more you gotta say? When asked, what does respect mean to you? Swing Jim just kept pushing his narrative. Look at the comments. Fans are over it. They think Jim is just chasing clout, plain and simple. One user even said, "Why is this man-child so obsessed with going viral?" That's all I've heard from him in the last few weeks. Does he think going viral for being disrespectful to Nas will help him? People are tired of the noise and they're calling him out big time. Sell more records, someone snapped in the comments. Another fan dropped a savage line. How you lose a rap battle you started and your opponent ain't even spit a single reply or bar? And yo, they had a point. Nas stayed quiet through all this drama, making it clear he don't even see Jim as worth his time. That silence hit harder than any diss track. But just when we thought this messy convo would finally chill out, Drake slid in out of nowhere, totally uninvited. Like, what was he even doing here? This whole beef had nothing to do with Drake, but he just had to jump in to back Jim and sneak in some low-key shade at Nas.
What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. Ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some shit like this where people were comparing was when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard?
Drake posted up a pic of him and Jim looking all buddy-buddy, and Jim dropped in the comments with, "Men have respect. Mafia rules a toast to the last ones left." The fans went wild after seeing that. Folks started saying this proved Drake and Jim might be two of the corniest rappers alive. Drake stepping up for Jim ain't really about loyalty. It's more about his addiction to stirring up drama and keeping his name in everybody's mouth. He loves being that dude who always goes against the grain just to stay in the spotlight and keep the clout rolling in. Another reason Drake's riding with Jim, they got some history. Jim is one of the few dudes in the game who actually stood by Drake during the Kendrick beef. After Drake filed that lawsuit against Universal Music Group for letting Kendrick drop Not Like Us, Jim hyped Drake up big time and called it a power move. Then in an interview with Angela Yee, Jim even said Drake did more for the culture than most other rappers out here. Can you believe that? Jim really out here gassing Drake up like he's the savior of rap. But Jim wasn't done running his mouth yet. Nah, he went even further and said Drake isn't just one of the best rappers alive, he's the greatest rapper of all time. And get this, Jim even called Drake his spirit animal. Like, what? Now, as for Drake's side, he'd been a Dipset fan since forever. He always showed mad love to Harlem, shouting out Cameron, Jules, and of course, Jim.
Nas or Jim Jones?
Nas.
Nas or Jim Jones?
Fucking Nas.
Nas.
Nas or Jim Jones?
Nas.
All right. Nas or Jim Jones?
Is that a serious question? Nas, bro.
Okay.
Jim Jones the clown.
Nas or Jim Jones?
Come on. Is that a question?
Yo.
Is that a question?
Hey, yo.
Nas or Jim Jones?
Come on. Yo. Nas.
Nas for the culture.
All right. Nas or Jim Jones?
You said Nas or Jim Jones? Oh, Nas.
Back in 2023, Jim even called Drake the honorary 5th member of Dipset. Wild, right? But here's the thing. Even though Drake and Jim clearly got love for each other, Drake jumping into this Jim versus Nas drama ain't really about loyalty or standing on principle. Nah, there's more to it. See, Pusha T and Malice just dropped the official track list for the new Clips album, and guess who's featured? Yup, Nas. According to Complex, Nas is on track 12 called Let God Sort 'Em Out Chandeliers. Of course, we don't know for sure if that track is a diss or who it's aimed at, but in an interview with Rolling Stone, Pusha described the song as sharp and said he'd been chasing that Nas feature for years. This new Clips album also got a track with Kendrick Lamar called Chains and Whips, and the whole project is produced by Pharrell. Knowing that Pusha T, Kendrick, and Pharrell all been beefing with Drake for a minute, fans been quick to connect the dots. As for Nas, he never really had beef with Drake, at least not out in the open. But by teaming up with Pusha, Kendrick, and Pharrell on this album, folks think Nas might be picking a side without even saying a word. The energy around this album got people hyped and speculating like crazy. And Drake? He couldn't just sit back and watch. He had to jump in and make it about him. Nas is basically picking a side. And yeah, some folks might think that's a stretch, but insiders close to Drake say he's not happy at all about Nas showing up on the new Clips album. Why? 'Cause Pusha T is in the mix. And if there's one dude Drake really don't want to see in the booth, it's definitely Pusha.
I call Nas a Bobby Fischer of MCs. because Bobby Fischer was the youngest MC youngest chess master
player, right.
to master. He became a grandmaster at the youngest age.
Right.
There's a few that beat him over the years,
right.
but he was the first one at that age to be, and Nas was a master at the age of 16, 17,
Right.
where most of us, because you met us, we was already in our 20s.
Right.
He was at the age of 17, 18, dope as somebody that was 25, 30.
Right.
That's true. And he, no, seriously. He's a prodigy child.
Don't forget, this the same Pusha T who dropped The Story of Adidon, exposed Drake's secret kid, and straight up wrecked his whole public image. Drake tried to act unbothered, but we all saw how shook he really was. That one hit different and he still hasn't fully bounced back. Now, when it comes to Nas, it's true. They never had public beef. Drake always showed love and gave props to Nas's legacy. They weren't exactly boys, but there wasn't any bad blood, at least not that we knew about. But here's the twist. Nas been a massive Kendrick Lamar fan for years. After Kendrick dropped his album GNX, right in the middle of him smoking Drake in that beef, Nas posted the GNX cover on his Instagram and wrote, "Always inspired by my brother Kendrick Lamar, keeping the essence of this ish alive and at the forefront. Salute King." That's a big shout out right there. Fast forward to 2025. Now Nas is linking up with Pusha on an album that also got Kendrick featured. That's definitely saying something loud and clear. And of course, Drake's taking it personal. Folks close to Drake say he sees it as betrayal because he always kept it respectful with Nas. So when we circle back to this Jim Jones drama, a lot of fans think that's exactly why Drake decided to ride for Jim so hard during this whole messy Jim versus Nas saga. It's like Drake using Jim to throw shots and stir the pot without getting his own hands too dirty.
Hey, what you gonna say to Drake? What you really gonna do with him, man? Like, he's changed the way that we listen to music in the past 10 years wholeheartedly, and everybody that's been around, he's helped change their sound also. For all our favorite rappers, you name the top rapper right now, has helped them tremendously out in their career by just jumping on a record or putting them on a tour. You know what I mean? Like, he's done more for our culture than most of these people.
Drake's playing chess, not checkers, but some folks think it just makes him look even more salty. We all know Drake ain't the type to sit back and chill when something threatens his shine. If anything messes with his clout or tries to push him off the main stage, he's gonna jump in and throw slick shots, even when it got nothing to do with him. Now everybody's saying this just proves how petty Drake really is. Instead of staying locked in on his own music, he's out here playing games and picking sides in beef that don't even involve him. And all this drama? Just because Nas popped up on Pusha's album and Pusha got beef with Drake? That's all it took for Drake to back Jim Jones and shade Nas. Wild, right? But honestly, it checks out. Drake built his whole brand on loyalty games, politics, and making sure he controls the narrative at all times. He always surrounds himself with folks who don't question him, and the second they do, he cuts them off like they never existed. So yeah, nobody's really shocked that Drake jumped into this Jim Jones versus Nas mess. But what fans really got their eyes on now is that upcoming Clips album. Cause with Pusha, Kendrick, Nas, and Pharrell all on the same project, man, Drake might want to start cooking up some responses ASAP. The streets are waiting and it's about to get spicy.